Hey everybody, this is Chris from the CNC Power Hour. In this video, Caleb from Cuz We're Nerds and I will show you how to play Magic the Gathering, which is a card game that is near and dear to both of our hearts. Unfortunately, there's an audio problem that I caused, and whenever we go to look at a particular card, the audio there is going to sound a little bit different. Hopefully it's not too distracting, and you'll still be able to get all of the information that you need from this video. Anyway, let's get started, and I hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Caleb from Cuz We're Nerds,
And I'm Chris from the CNC Power Hour.
and today we are going to teach you how to play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the resident expert here, considering I live here.
That's true.
But so every Sunday we stream Magic the Gathering. It is a game that we have put hours into and gotten countless hours of entertainment out of. Caleb, you played for a couple of years.
Yes, I have. I don't know, 5, 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah, Caleb's actually the person that got me into it. It's all his fault.
It's true.
It didn't stick the first time, but it did later. And so before we get into actually how to play the game, I just want to explain what Magic is. So Magic the Gathering is the first trading card game, came out in 1993. It was done by Richard Garfield, who has created a bunch of games afterwards, and every card game that has come out since is more or less based on Magic.
Collectible card game.
Collectible
Trading
card
card game.
game. Or trading card game, yeah. Even digital card games like Gwent or Hearthstone, they kind of take a lot of their systems from Magic, because Magic did it well, and there's a reason Magic is still going on for 25 years later. It's because the system is, I guess, wide enough to do a lot of things with, is the best way to put it. There are a bunch of options and directions the game can go, and they've been designing fresh cards for the past 25 years. It's had its ups and downs in numbers, but it's actually, I think, in the most popular period that it has ever been right now.
Yeah, it's a great game. Typically played by 2 players, but you can go up to 3 or 4 or even more if you want to be crazy.
Yeah, biggest game we've had was 9. Don't ever do that.
9!
Yeah, it was awful.
Okay.
I designed a game system for 10. I need more friends before we do that. But
All right. Well, I think that's it. So let's get into it.
yeah. So, are you cutting directly to our hands just being here? Hey.
Go for it.
All right. So, in Magic, you will notice that there are 5 colors. These colors within Magic represent philosophical ideals. So white has a lot of like justice themes. Blue has a lot of knowledge themes. Black is like power at any cost. Red is passion and emotion, and green is a connection to nature. And all of these sort of have their own strengths and weaknesses. But the things that I'm showing you right now are what are called basic lands. So basic lands, that worked. So this is a basic plains card. You can tell it's a plains because up in the top left corner it says plains. This is where you will find the name of the card that you're playing, always in the top left. In the center of the card is what's called the type line. Here it says basic land. That's how you know that this is a basic land. There's also a subtype, which comes after the dash, called plains. There are 5 basic land subtypes. There's plains, island, swamp, mountain, and forest. Each of these respectively produce white, blue, black, red, and green mana, which you will need to cast your spells. So basic lands are the resource in Magic. So a lot of games, you have resource generation and resource spending. This is how you generate resources.
It's kind of like your money.
Right, which you can use it once a turn. You signify that by tapping it, showing that your resource has been used. This tapping translates to every card that I'm going to show you later.
Yep.
But it's whenever it's tapped and you use it to produce mana, is what it's called. It produces one of that color. So this would produce a white. This would produce a blue, black, red, and green. You use these to play spells, which are the other cards in Magic. So spells have types. Actually, before I get there, lands don't have to just be one color. This card is called Timber Gorge. It's a land, not a basic land, and it has some text here in the center. It says it enters the battlefield tapped. We'll explain what that means here in just a second. It also has the symbol that it taps add red or green for you to spend on spells. Multiple colors. They can also have drawbacks, conditions
Yeah.
for when they enter the battlefield. The battlefield is this playing area that you're seeing. It's where things that are called permanents, so cards that stick around, the battlefield is where they go. Lands are permanents, and some of the other spells I'm going to show you are permanents. So this land, because it's a dual land, it taps for red and for green. There are dual lands that tap for blue and white. Dual lands tap for any combination of the two. There are tri-lands. There are lands that tap for 5 colors. I don't know if there are any lands that tap for 4. That would be weird.
Probably is.
There's probably something.
There probably is somewhere along the way.
Somewhere. So you use these lands to play permanents. So permanents include things like creatures. So this creature card is named Spark-Tongue Dragon. It has something new up here in the top right-hand corner. This is called a mana cost. It requires 3 generic mana of any color or colorless, and then specifically 2 additional red mana. It's a creature / dragon. And then it has some text here in the center, which we'll get to in our game. The most important thing is down here in the bottom right, it also has what's called power over here on the left, and toughness. Power is how much damage the creature deals during combat, which is a specific phase in Magic. And toughness is how much damage that creature can take before it has to leave the battlefield and go to your graveyard or discard pile. So that was that's a creature. This is how you win most of your games, is through combat, nice and clean. I'm going to hit my opponent in the face, and they're going to lose their life, and that's it. The game's over.
Yep.
But there are other things in the game, such as... Oh, actually, sorry. Forgot my sequence here. Creatures don't have to just be one color. You can see in the top right that this creature costs 2 and a green and a blue, meaning it is a multicolored creature. You can also tell because the frame isn't just one color, it's gold, and you can see like a little outline that goes from green on the left all the way to blue on the other side. Now we're going to show you a permanent card that is not a creature. This is a card called Millstone. It costs 2 mana of any color or colorless. It is an artifact, and then it has what's called an activated ability down here in its text box. So the activated ability is you pay 2 mana of any color or colorless, and then you tap this so that you can't use it again this turn. And then it says target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. This is another way to put your opponent at a disadvantage because it removes some of their resources from their library.
Does it? There's a lot of jargon.
Lots of jargon.
A lot of terminology in this game. However, you'll find that most of this doesn't really matter, at least when you're starting. As you progress onwards, if you decide to get into serious Magic, it does.
Yeah.
But for now, just know that there are several different types of cards. We'll get into specifics as we play.
Right. So the thing that's most important is that the cards do what they say. So reading the card explains the card is the most important thing in Magic.
Yes.
The second most important thing is every rule is unbreakable unless a card says otherwise.
The golden rule of Magic.
the golden rule of Magic. But there are more permanents, which are things that stay on the battlefield. And I'm going to reiterate, these things so that they kind of stick in your head. This is a card called Skyscanner. It costs 3 generic mana. It's an artifact creature, which means it is both an artifact and a creature. It has power and toughness of 1/1, so 1 power, 1 toughness. And then it also has this cool little thing that's called a triggered ability. So, triggered abilities happen based on conditions. And this one in particular, it says when Skyscanner enters the battlefield, you draw a card. This card is called Psychic Corrosion. It costs 2 generic mana and 1 blue mana. It's an enchantment. Enchantments are a lot like artifacts. They can have activated abilities where you pay for something, just like the Millstone, or it can have a triggered ability, such as the Skyscanner. This one in particular has a triggered ability that says whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. This card is called Duress. It costs a single black mana. It's a new type of card that we haven't talked about yet. It's a sorcery. Sorcery cards are one-time use effects that you can only cast on your turn. So you play the black mana, you play this card, and you get to do what it says once. This particular card says target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. This card is called Inspired Charge. It is 2 generic mana and 2 white mana. It is an instant, which is just like a sorcery, except you can cast it at any time. It says creatures you control get +2, +1 until end of turn. That means each creature you control gets +2 power and +1 toughness until the turn is over. Since you can cast this on your turn or your opponent's turn, it can be used to save your creatures or to do more damage to your opponent. This is a very special card called a Planeswalker card. Planeswalkers are permanents, like creatures. Instead of power and toughness on the bottom right, though, they have what is called loyalty. Loyalty is a Planeswalker's health. They can be dealt damage by spells and creatures, and if their loyalty gets to 0, they will die and go to the graveyard. You'll see that the cards have multiple abilities in the center. You can use these abilities by adding or subtracting loyalty. You can only use one of these abilities on each of your turns, and you can only activate an ability that you have enough loyalty for. You'll also see that this card is a legendary card, which means you can only have one copy of it on your side of the field. This particular Planeswalker is called Vivian Reed. She costs 3 generic mana and 2 green mana, and she has 3 loyalty abilities, and enters the battlefield with 5 loyalty. The first ability adds a loyalty, and it lets you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. The second one removes 3 loyalty counters. You can only do this if Vivian has 3 or more loyalty counters on her. It says destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. The third ability removes 8 loyalty counters from Vivian, but you can only use it if the Planeswalker has 8 or more loyalty. So you can't use it the first turn that Vivian comes into play. This particular ability is usually a great payoff. It is extremely powerful. This one, for example, says you get an emblem, which is kind of a permanent effect that says creatures you control get +2 power, +2 toughness, and have vigilance, which means they do not tap when attacking, trample, and indestructible. Indestructible, it means that your creature cannot be destroyed. So if it has damage dealt to it that is greater than its toughness, it does not go to the graveyard. Trample is a special combat-focused keyword, which is what these abilities are called, that we will go over later in the video. So that is all of the major card types in Magic.
So to kind of summarize, we've got your basic lands, which you're going to use to pay for things, and also the dual lands that you can use to pay for things. You've got your basic creatures, your multicolored creatures, and your artifact creatures, which all act just as creatures. They're just different types of creatures.
Yep.
Don't let that confuse you. You also have your artifacts, which do things. Your enchantments, which are kind of like artifacts, that they do things, but they go away after they're done.
Nope. They stay.
Sorry, enchantments. Yes, I was thinking sorceries. Enchantments do stay. Sorceries, which is what I was thinking.
Yep.
That happens, and then they go away. Instants are like sorceries, where it happens and it goes away, but you can play those on your opponent's turn. And then, of course, we have the Planeswalker, which is kind of like an ultimate card that you can play during game, but you don't have to. And all of these cards, except for lands you have to have in every single deck.
Yep.
However, these other ones are changeable. You could build a deck, however difficult, without creatures.
Yes. Those are the fun ones.
Yes.
Creatures, you can do just creatures, but primarily you want a mix of both.
All right. So we want to get into the play example now?
Yeah, so Caleb and I are going to go through a couple of motions, but before you start a game of Magic, you have a deck, usually a deck that you pre-constructed, you made before you came to the table.
For you, or you purchased.
Right. Looks like this. It's a pile of cards.
Ooh.
Yeah, very fancy, right?
Ah.
So before the game starts, you have to sufficiently randomize your deck by shuffling.
By shuffling. There are many ways to shuffle. If you ever play this with other people, you will see all kinds of ways that people shuffle.
Yes.
Decks have to be at least 60 cards.
Usually.
Usually.
Decks that you do not construct at the event have to be 60 cards.
There are other formats to play Magic which have different rules, but we are just going to talk on a very general basis for all of the intro.
Yeah. Called kitchen table Magic, which is the most casual Magic.
That's right. So after you have finished sufficiently shuffling, which different people will consider sufficient different ways.
Yeah.
You typically hand it to your opponent, and they will perform what is called a cut. Now, what is a cut? Basically, they can rearrange the cards in a very simple way like this. Typically, you take the top half off, put it on bottom, put the bottom half off.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it like that. You could take some and some other sums and switch them.
Right. It is, you present your deck to your opponent to shuffle it so that they feel it's also sufficiently randomized.
Yes.
But 99% of the time, people will just cut your deck in half, just like swap the top and the bottom, and that's sufficient randomization for them. Some people won't cut it at all. Just depends on what's going on, but it's something you do have to do. You do have to present your deck to your opponent.
If you're playing this at home with your friends or your kids or something like that, it's not super important. But if you go to an event and you don't do this, you're going to be considered very rude.
Yeah,
and perhaps like you're cheating.
Yeah. That's one of the worst things is that we don't want you to go to an event and get in trouble because we told you not to do something.
Right.
If you're at an event, present your deck to your opponent so that they can shuffle it.
All right.
So now that we've shuffled, we will draw 7 cards. Everybody in Magic starts off with 7 cards. That changes. If you do not like the cards in your hand, there's what's called a mulligan, where you put the cards back, shuffle it, and then you draw 1 less card. So if I were to mulligan this hand, I would go down to 6 cards. But we're not going to be doing that today. Instead, we're just going to be playing with our 7.
Now, when you do mulligan, basically you would shuffle those back into your deck.
Yep. Shuffle all of them back in.
Draw, like you said, 1 less. You can mulligan as many times as you want. You could even mulligan down to 1 card, although you would almost most definitely lose.
Right. It's kind of hard to fight back from that.
You know, something we didn't do, we forgot, and I just technically broke the rules, is decide who goes first.
Right. So, usually before anybody draws their cards and looks at their hand, you figure out who goes first. A lot of times, as people roll 2 6-sided dice, 1d20. You guys can do rock, paper, scissors, whatever you want.
Flip a coin, however.
Usually it's high roll. You announce it to your opponent. I rolled an 8. So then you let them roll.
All right. Also an 8. So roll again.
Yep. 7.
I hope I roll an 8. 7. This is the worst example.
You're keeping this all in, right? All right. Third time's the charm. 7.
Are these loaded?
Not anymore. See?
There we
Everything's
go.
fine.
Okay, 9.
Caleb rolled a 9. It's fine. So Caleb gets to choose whether he wants to go first. Caleb, do you want to go first?
I think I will go first, actually.
Okay. So the first player in Magic does not get to draw a card. Every turn, though, you do get to draw a card. It's just that first turn you don't get to. So Caleb's going to play with his 7 cards, and Caleb, you don't have any land yet. So that means you can't really play anything until you play a land. How do you play a land?
So basically, the game is made up of several steps on your turn, right? These can get a little confusing, so we're going to keep it very simple. But you have your beginning phase at the beginning of your turn.
Yep.
Where you would draw a card. I'm not, because like you said, it's the first turn, and on the first turn you do not draw a card. That's also where you would do some other things. Then we go into the main phase. During this main phase, you can play basically whatever cards you want, right?
Yes.
So I am going to look at my hand, and as you said, I need a land because you can't do anything in the game without a land. So I am going to pick one. Going to pick this island here, which
it's a very pretty island.
Card reader. There we go.
I like that island.
Very simple. You can only play 1 land per turn. So I've played this now. And now I will look at my hand to see if there are any other cards that I can play by just tapping 1 land. I don't have any. Normally you would not tell your opponent this. But I don't have any, so I am going to go ahead and pass turn to Chris.
So just so you guys know, Magic is also a game of hidden information. Don't tell these things to your opponent.
Yes.
So Caleb is passing. I'm going to draw the card off the top of my deck. So now I have 8 cards in my hand, which means I have to play something, or else I have to discard a card later.
Yes, there is a hand limit of 7 cards. That happens at the end of your turn. So if you end your turn with more than 7 cards, you have to discard down to 7.
Precisely. I am going to play this forest, and I am going to pass the turn to Caleb.
All right. It's my turn. I'm going to draw a card.
Thank you, camera.
All right. Now looking at my hand, again, you normally would not tell your opponent this. I have several cards I can play for 2 mana. So I'm going to play another land, a Plains. Now this one produces white mana, and this one produces blue mana. So all that means is if I tap these, I can now use that cost, right? So if I look at my hand, I am going to choose this creature to play. Can we put that on full screen?
Yeah. I like this. This is the purple crystal crab. It costs 1 generic mana and 1 blue mana. It is a creature with 1 power and 1 toughness. It also has a triggered ability that says when purple crystal crab dies, draw a card. That's valuable. The more cards in hand that you have, the more options you have with your opponent. So blue draws a lot of cards.
Yes.
It's one of the main things blue does, which is why it's one of my favorite colors.
Right. Now, typically on your turn, you can go into combat mode, which basically means you attack your opponent. When you first summon a creature, which is what it's called, putting it onto the field, it cannot attack. It has something that they call summoning sickness. You can call it whatever you want. But it cannot attack on the first turn it's played. So because of that, and because I'm out of lands to tap for mana, I'm going to pass turn to Chris.
Perfect. So I'm going to draw a card. Take a look at it here. I'm going to play this mountain.
It's a beautiful mountain.
It is a beautiful mountain.
In case you're confused, each of these land cards has a different name. They are all basic lands, but the blues are called islands, the whites are called plains, the reds are called mountains, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So don't get confused when we call them that.
Yeah, man, how did we miss that? It's one of the most basic things, and we
There's
just completely forgot to talk
there's a
about
lot
it.
of terminology, like I said.
Yeah,
Red makes you get to play cards with red mana cost. That's
yeah,
all you need.
yeah.
To
Just match the colors. You'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this leopard spotted Jiao.
Yao. Yeah, I
Yao.
think so.
I'm not up on my Chinese. The strange beast has the hide of a leopard, the howl of a dog, and the horns of an ox. So this leopard spotted Jiao costs 1 generic mana and a red mana. It doesn't have any abilities. The stuff that I read there was called flavor text. It's basically text that just sort of sets the world for Magic, puts a little bit of lore on the cards. It's fun, extra fluffy stuff. You don't really have to pay attention to it. The thing that you do have to pay attention to, though, is that this creature has 3 power and 1 toughness. And since I just summoned this creature, as Caleb explained last turn, I cannot attack, I will pass the turn to Caleb.
All right, so now it is my turn. Because I have cards that are tapped, I now get to untap them at the beginning of my turn. I will untap this, which means they are now free to be used again. So the order is untap, then draw your card. Okay. So as with all other turns, I am now going to play another land. And this time I'm going to play a slightly different type of land. Put this on full screen, please.
Ooh. So the card Caleb is playing is called Meandering River. It's one of those tap lands that enters the battlefield tapped as a drawback, but on his next turn when he untaps, he can tap it for white or blue mana.
Comes in tapped like this. Now, that means I can't use it this turn. But that's okay because the trade-off is I can tap it for either color in future turns. So I'll go ahead and play that. And looking at my hand, I am going to tap my island and my plains for this creature.
This colorful Fey Sparrow is a creature card that costs 1 and a white. It has 1 power and 3 toughness, and it has an ability that we're going to talk about here in just a second. So these decks are for they were made with Chinese mythology in mind. They're a special type of deck that you can buy in a pack to play against each other.
Yeah.
And they're really, really cool, but I'm really bad at Chinese. Still, let's take a look at this card. So you'll see in the center of the card that this card has a keyword static ability. Keyword abilities are abilities that are commonly found on Magic cards. Static abilities are abilities that always apply unless another card says otherwise. So this creature has an ability called Flying, which means it can't be blocked except by other creatures with flying or a creature that has a different ability keyword called Reach. This creature is something that I cannot block.
All right.
So,
he has summoning sickness. However, my purple crystal crab no longer has summoning sickness. So if I want, I can go into combat. I don't have to, but I am going to choose to go into combat, actually.
okay.
So we are now entering the combat phase, is technically what it's called. And this also comes in a couple different steps. So the very first thing is I declare attackers.
Whoa. Actually, the very first thing is the beginning of combat step. So there's a transition phase called the beginning of combat step. This is very important later.
For advanced play.
Sure. But it is the first step. We're just telling you about it. It's not something that we're going to use today, but it is something that is kind of important to know that it exists. The main thing that happens, though, as Caleb was saying, is whoever's turn it is gets to attack.
Right.
And they choose however many creatures they want to attack with, right?
Yes, so I could attack with however many creatures I have that does not have summoning sickness. In this case, I only have 1. So I'm going to tap him to basically indicate that he is going to attack now. Sometimes people will call this swinging. There's a lot of different terminology, but basically you turn sideways. And I'm going to push that up so it's a little bit more clear.
Yep. So Caleb is going to attack me for 1. Everyone in Magic in these kitchen table or 1v1 matches starts with 20 life. 20 life is a lot. Don't want you to think that you need to preserve your life total at all costs because the game's not over until you hit 0.
Now, Chris, I don't think we've had our life total on the screen.
It's supposed to be there.
So while he's up trying to fix that, I am swinging for 1 because that is the power that I have. It's this first number before the slash.
Do you want to put it back on the card reader?
Yeah, we'll put it back on the card reader here. Can you switch to that from where you are?
Yes, just a moment. So while I'm fixing my mistake, Caleb was explaining that the crab has 1 power, which is how much damage it's going to deal to me in combat. He's also saying that whenever you have finished declaring all of your attacking creatures, that is the end of the declare attacker step.
We go to the declare blocker step, which is where Chris can say which creatures are blocking my creatures, if any.
Right. So in Magic, which is pretty different from a lot of other card games, you cannot attack the opponent's creatures directly. The opponent chooses whether or not they want to block with their creatures. So, I don't want Caleb to draw a card, because if this creature dies, he gets a card. And that's good for him. But I also don't really want to take 1 damage. But him getting a card is more bad for me than taking 1 damage, so I will gladly accept the 1 damage to the face. My life total goes down to 19.
Now, why don't you explain why my creature would have died?
So, Caleb's creature would have died because it has 1 toughness. If I were to block with my creature, which has 3 power, which would kill Caleb's 1 toughness creature. But also because my creature has 1 toughness, my creature also would have died.
I think he's making this a little bit more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Basically, what you do is if we stack these up together, we see the differences, right? So both of these creatures deal damage to each other if it blocks. So I would deal 1 damage to him, he would deal 3 damage to me. The 3 damage I take is more than my toughness, so my creature dies. And the 1 damage that he takes is equal to his toughness, so take it down to 0. So he dies as well. So both of our creatures would have died if he chose to block.
Right. Anytime a creature has damage dealt to it that's equal to or greater than its toughness, it dies. And that would have been good for Caleb, but bad for me.
Right. And this is part of the game where there's a lot of trade-offs and strategic decisions that you have to make while you're playing. That's a lot of the fun of the game.
Yeah, that is all of the fun of the game.
If you're not into strategy, it's probably not the game for you.
No, yeah, it's I should have explained this at the beginning, but it's kind of like chess and poker if they both combined had like 10,000 possible pieces. There's a lot of back and forth. There's some bluffing involved. There's some okay, I'm willing to lose this because they're losing something of equal value. Right. Or I need to lose this to stay alive. There's a lot of decisions that at the beginning of the game can impact you later, or that don't impact you at all, but it's still something that you have to make the call on.
All right, so now the combat is done. We have combat damage. We have determined combat damage, which is Chris taking the 1 damage from my creature. And then we go to the end of combat step, which is kind of like the beginning of combat step. It doesn't really matter for the beginners for most of the time, but just know it's there. And then I go to basically what's called the second main phase, which is exactly like the first main phase.
Yep.
So basically what that's there to allow you to do is play cards, attack, and play more cards afterwards. Okay? What you can't do is you can't attack with a creature, play cards that you can only play during main phase, and then attack with another creature. All of your creatures have to attack during the combat step.
Right. You don't get to.
Yeah, it's very important. So now I'm in the second main phase, so I could choose to play another card if I had any mana open. I do not, so I'm going to pass turn.
Awesome. So I'm going to draw a card. I love this. I love the flavor of this set. That's adorable. I'm going to play a forest. So now I have 2 green mana available and 1 red mana. What to do? I think what I was about to do is kind of advanced, so I'm not going to do it. As fun as it would be.
Yeah, let's keep it basic.
Yeah. But it's a really good thing to do.
Small steps.
Small steps. Okay. Um, this is really killing me because you can, because a creature doesn't have or likely has summoning sickness whenever it enters the battlefield. You don't always have to play it in your first main phase. You can go to combat and then play a creature after that. That is kind of advanced. It shouldn't. I wish it wasn't advanced because it's actually like a really integral part of the game. But it is an advanced tactic. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this creature in my first main phase. It is a Fey Snake, probably. 2/1 with Reach. So Reach is another keyword static ability. That means that this creature can block another creature with flying. However, after looking at this creature for a second and looking at Caleb's bird, which has flying, I realized that if I were to block with this creature, Caleb's bird would die, but my creature would also die. Block for me. I realize that now.
Hindsight 2020.
Yeah, that's fine. Everything's fine. I'm going to go to combat.
You're gonna go. Okay.
I'm going to attack with the leopard spotted Diao.
Okay. So oftentimes you want to check to make sure that they're done declaring attackers if they haven't said so, because otherwise it can cause some confusion. Are you done?
Correct. I'm done declaring attackers. You may declare your blockers.
So he is he has 3 attack and 3 power, 1 toughness, often called a 3/1.
Yep.
So he is a 3/1, which means anything that I have with 3 or less toughness will die blocking it. I cannot block with this card because it is tapped. Cannot block with tapped cards. Which means the only thing I can block with is my bird. And I don't want to lose him because he cannot block it with anything except cards that have flying or reach. He only has 1 card with reach. That card will die if he blocks my card.
Correct.
So this bird is very valuable for me. So I do not want him to die. So I am going to let that damage me. So I will take 3 damage, which from 20 takes me down to 17.
Yep. And since I played a creature in my main phase, even though I do have 1 mana available, this other forest, I am not going to do anything with it, so I will pass turn to Caleb.
All right. So I get to untap all my stuff, including my creature, and draw my card. All right. I am going to play another Plains. And then I am going to tap Island and a Plains for this card called Cloak of Mist. Can we go to full screen?
Ooh. Cloak of Mist is an enchantment for 1 and a blue. It's a special kind of enchantment called an aura. Auras are enchantments that attach themselves to other things. This aura says enchant creature, so you have to attach it to a creature. Whenever it's attached to a creature, that creature gains the ability on the card. So this card reads, enchanted creature can't be blocked, so the card that Caleb's enchanting cannot be blocked by other creatures.
I look at my cards. I kind of want this guy to die eventually. I'll put him back up here. Because remember, when he dies, I do get to draw a card. So I am going to put this on my bird, which renders his snake useless because he now cannot block the bird.
Yep.
Which is pretty good for me. And then I am going to go to attack, the combat step. Both of my creatures are going to attack him. And I am now done, and he will declare blockers.
Well, I cannot block the flyer. Cannot block the bird, which is the whole reason why I played the snake, even though the snake would die I realized that after. I still don't want Caleb to draw a card, so I'm not blocking the crab. So I will take the 2 damage. So I go down from 19 to also 17.
Okay. Now combat ends. We go to the in combat step, the second main phase. I look at my hand to see if there's anything else that I would like to play. And there is not, so I'm going to pass turn.
All right. So I'm going to untap my lands, untap any tapped creatures, draw a card. I'm going to play this tapped land, which Caleb had one for blue and white. I have one for red and green. Mhm.
It's a good idea while your opponent is taking their turn. If they're thinking, maybe look at your card and try to plan ahead.
Yes. The fastest way to play Magic is on your opponent's turn.
Yes.
Is the best way to put it, right? Like whenever your opponent is doing something, if they're thinking, you need to be thinking about what you want to do next. I'm going to play my own enchantment, Aura, like Caleb did. This aura, called Hardened Scale Armor, costs 2 generic mana and a green mana. It also enchants a creature, and it says enchanted creature gets +3 power and +3 toughness. So I can put this on either of my creatures. The most value, though, is by putting it onto the leopard spotted Jiao. So it becomes a 6/4. So you add. So originally it is a 3/1.
You know what, Chris? I just realized we've got this thing in the video. I'm going to pull this back
Everything's fine.
a
Don't worry
little
about
bit. There we go. Nice and clear.
it. So currently it is a 3/1. I add this aura to it, and it adds 3 power and 3 toughness. So it is a 6/4. However, am I going to attack with it? Oh, also, I need to tap my mana.
Very important. Make
Very
sure your
important.
opponent taps their mana.
Yep. When they tap it, it's not that important. You can tap it before you cast something, after you play something, but they just have to tap it before they go and do anything else. Just to make sure they're not using their resource too much, or more than they're supposed to. I will go to combat.
I think I just tapped my mic. Sorry, guys.
And I will attack Caleb for 6 damage.
Ooh. All right, so this puts me in a tough spot. Are you done?
I'm done.
Puts me in a tough spot because I can't block him. Both of my creatures are tapped. I do have 2 open mana, and this is where maybe some instants would come into play. We'll probably get into those a little bit later. I don't have any of those things, so I have no choice but to take the damage.
Oof.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which takes me down to 11.
And I am tapped out, which means I do not have any more resources available to me, and I'm going to pass the turn to Caleb.
All right. I think at this point, guys, we're just going to play and kind of talk you through our thought process, unless we play a type of card that you have not seen before.
Yep.
So untap and draw. All right. I'm going to play another island. It's my mana for the turn. Or sorry, my land for the turn. Technically, this is kind of the same thing, but small distinction. All right. So, I am going to tap all of my mana,
That's terrifying.
which is commonly called tapping out. So that gives me 2 blue, 2 white, and then either a white or a blue. In this case, it doesn't matter. For a total of 5. Now I'm going to play this card called Rhythmic Water Vortex. Can we go to full screen?
Oh no. Rhythmic Water Vortex is a particular problem for me, which is why you heard me saying that. It is a sorcery that costs 3 blue. It says return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. The reason this is a problem is because if you return a creature to its owner's hand that has an aura on it, the aura does not go back with the creature. Instead, the aura falls off and goes to the graveyard. The second part of this is you get to search your library and graveyard for a card named Mu Yanling, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, you get to shuffle it. Mu Yangling is a Planeswalker card, and those cards usually are very powerful. It says up to 2.
It does say up to 2.
So you don't have
don't
to
have
return both of my creatures.
That is a very important distinction. Some cards will say may. In that case, you don't have to do what it says. If it does not say may or does not imply an option, you have to do it. Very important. So I'm going to go ahead and choose up to 2 creatures. I could choose my own. I'm not going to. I'm going to choose both of yours.
So some fun things happen when these go back to my hand. So the snake, no problem. Now it goes back to my hand without issue. The leopard spotted Jiao, though, it has an aura attached to it. The aura does not go with the creature. In fact, the aura becomes detached and it goes to the graveyard, which is usually by your deck. It's a separate face-up pile next to your deck. So it goes to hang out in the graveyard.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You take your deck and just look through it for a card named Mu Yanling. I have not played this deck before, so I actually...
It's your Planeswalker.
Really have to look through it. Planeswalker. Wow, it was very close to the top.
Oh.
So we put this on the card reader.
Yeah. So, per Rhythmic Vortex's instructions, Caleb has to reveal Mu Yanling, so I know that it's in his hand, and I also have an idea of what this Planeswalker does.
First. So this card does go into my hand as per Rhythmic Water Vortex. And then Rhythmic Water Vortex also says to, not do that, to shuffle the deck. Because I've just rifled through it and I know everything that's in it, which is not cool. Now, just like at the beginning of the game, after you've shuffled your deck, you want to present it to your opponent to cut. He cuts it, put it back. This card goes to the discard pile. Now, that was just that one card. So, all my mana is tapped out, so I can't play anything new. All I can really do is attack or use the abilities of my creatures. He has no creatures because I sent them back. So I am now going to attack for 2.
I'm very sad, but I will take 2 because I have no option.
Alright, and pass turn.
Alrighty, so I will untap. Let's draw for our turn. I'm going to play a mountain. And this is something that we haven't really done yet, but you don't have to stick to playing one thing a turn. In fact, you can play 2 things. So the things that Caleb sent back to my hand each cost 2 mana, so I can play them both this turn. So I'm going to play this Fey Snake. I'm going to tap this mountain, tap this Timber Gorge. I'm going to play the leopard spotted Jiao. So now my friends are back on the battlefield, but they cannot attack because they have summoning sickness, even though they were here earlier. I guess they're still groggy from their nap. And I will pass the turn.
All right. Untap. Untapping can become a bit tedious if you have a lot of cards out.
I prefer the forearm technique where you just don't do that.
I will play an island. So I have a lot of mana. 5, 6. I have 6 mana.
You have 6 mana. You have something that I know is in your hand because you had to reveal it. That costs 6.
Now the question is, do I want to play that card? Huh. Alright. I am going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to tap actually all 3 of my islands for this?
Caleb is playing the Armored Whirl Turtle, which costs 2 generic mana and 1 blue mana. It's a creature, and while it has 0 power, it has 5 toughness, which is way more toughness than any of my creatures have power.
So I'm going to bring him out here so he can defend me if need be. And then I'm going to go ahead and attack with these two once again.
I will take 2.
All right.
Down to 13.
And I will pass turn.
Alrighty, so let's untap here. Let's draw. Oh. Now I have options.
So I know this video is going on for quite a bit of time. I don't know, maybe 20, 25 minutes in at this point. You've gotten most of the basics to play. We might play a couple extra cards, but if you just want to jump in, you probably could do so now.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can refer back to this video. But at this point, I'm going to show you. We're going to show you the last card type, the Planeswalker, that we haven't really shown you how it works in the turn. But a lot of the introductory decks right now all come with a Planeswalker, so it's important for us to show you how it works. And then after that, we'll probably just play this. I don't know if we want to play this out super quick or if we just want to just cut it. But after we do this, we'll figure it out. So I'm going to play Jiang Yanggu, which is a Planeswalker card that costs 4 generic mana and a single green mana. He has 3 loyalty abilities. The first one adds a loyalty counter to his already 4 loyalty. It says target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. The second one is -1 loyalty. It says if you don't control a creature named Mawu, create a legendary 3/3 green hound creature token named Mawu. Creature tokens are representations of creatures. They don't have a mana cost, but they act just like creatures. However, if they leave the battlefield for almost any reason, they disappear from the game. This also has a second minus ability, which is -5. It says, until end of turn, target creature gains trample and gets +X/+X, where X is the number of lands you control. Trample is an ability keyword that makes combat math difficult. Basically, it means that if you do enough damage to kill a creature, any remaining damage goes to the player. Normally, a creature, even if it only has 1 toughness, and it blocks another creature that has 20 power, all of that damage goes to that creature. With Trample, the rest of the damage goes to the creature's controller. So back on the main screen, so you can see this die. It has a 4. So it enters with 4 loyalty. I'm actually going to up it to 5.
So there's a lot of die use in this game. Sometimes people keep track of their life with these 20-sided die.
Spin down die, because they're not randomized like D20s for Dungeons and Dragons.
But in this case, we're using it to keep track of how many loyalty counters he has on him. Came in with 4, and then like you said, he's going to use the +1 ability, so he's up to 5.
Yep. So I'm going to give the Leopard Spotted Jiao +2/+2 until end of turn. That means that, it only lasts until end of turn. So when it goes to Caleb's turn, the +2/+2 buff will disappear. For now, though, this is actually really important for me, so I'm going to go to combat. And I'm going to attack you for 5. And I'm done declaring.
He is a 5/3 at this point, because the +2/+2.
Yep.
So now comes to the declare blocker step. I am going to actually block with my turtle.
Rip Turtle.
And then it continues on to the
damage step.
The damage step. In which case, I'm going to do something that is a little bit tricky.
No! So before damage, right? So
at each of these steps, pretty much both yourself and your opponent have the option to play instant cards, which we haven't really played up until this point.
Yep.
Instant cards can get a little tricky, which is why we haven't done too much of it. But just know that at the end of almost every step,
Yes.
You have the option to play one of these.
Yep.
So because we are at the end of the declare blocker step, I am actually going to pay 1 white mana for Keelan's Blessing. Not that big?
Yeah. Killen's Blessing is an instant for a single white. It says target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Caleb is targeting his turtle, which is going to make it just big enough to block the creature that I just pumped with my Planeswalker's ability.
2/2, which brings him up to a 2/7. While that is not enough to kill his creature because his toughness is 3, it means my turtle doesn't die anymore, and I don't have to take the damage. That goes to my discard pile. So now we would go to the damage step.
Yep.
And
the turtle is
it's a
2/7.
2/7.
It takes 5 damage, but it doesn't die.
Because the 5 is less than 7.
Yep.
And then his creature is a 5/3. It takes my 2 damage. Again, because 2 is less than 3, it doesn't die. So nothing really happens.
Yep. And then I'm sad, and I pass the turn.
All right. So like we mentioned earlier, you guys have pretty much seen all the different types. We are going to, I think, continue playing this. Unless it takes too long, we will cut it off. We are going to talk about where you can get these cards and some different things at the very end. So if you want to go ahead and skip to that, you can. All right. I'm going to play an island. I am rolling in islands.
Many islands.
I am going to, let's see, what do I want to do? I'm going to tap 3, 4, 5, 6 for my Planeswalker.
Mu Yangling is a Planeswalker card that costs 4 blue. It comes onto the battlefield with 5 loyalty. It has 3 abilities. It says +2 loyalty. Target creature can't be walked this turn. -3 loyalty. Draw 2 cards. And -10 loyalty. Tap all creatures your opponents control. You take an extra turn after this one.
So I'm going to put that there. Now I can do what Chris did and go ahead and up her, but I'm actually going to not do that because it's not really much benefit to me, really. So I'm going to do the -3, which immediately takes her down to 2. I can find 2 on the die. It allows me to draw 2 cards.
Sick.
All right. Now I'm going to go to combat. Now you do have the option to attack the Planeswalker. That's how they die, is basically their loyalty counters are their life.
Yep. So if Caleb were to choose to attack the Planeswalker, I can choose to block one of his creatures.
It works exactly the same way as attacking normally, except if he were to take damage, it goes to the Planeswalker instead. Only if you are attacking the Planeswalker.
Right. They actually did change it recently. You have to declare that you're attacking the Planeswalker. There's no redirection anymore. The Planeswalker is its own target.
I thought that's how it always worked.
Nope.
All right.
Yeah. Complicated stuff. Magic is weird.
All right. So I am going to attack with these 2 because my turtle doesn't have any attack, so he won't be helpful.
You're attacking me, right?
Yeah, sorry. I'm attacking you.
Okay, cool. I will take the 2. Down to 11.
All right. Your turn.
Sick. All right. So let's draw a card. All right, I'm tired of this bird. Let's do some things.
You're not tired of the crab?
No. Not even close. I'm going to up Jing Yangu again. So +1 or add 1 loyalty counter. Target creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn. I'm going to target the leopard spotted Jiao. And then I'm going to cast a spell. There's a reason I did it in this order.
Oh.
I'm going to cast Aggressive Instinct. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you do not control. So since the leopard spotted Jiao is a 5/3 at the moment, I'm going to have it deal 5 damage to your turtle.
Oh, I thought you said you were tired of the bird.
I was
until you realize.
until I realized that I can kill the turtle, and the turtle's a bigger
All
problem.
right, so the turtle dies.
The turtle dies. Even though I dealt damage with the creature, I did not go to combat, which means I can still attack. Before I do that, though, I am going to play another creature. I'm going to tap the Timber Gorge for green. I'm going to play this Reckless Pangolin, which I love. I love this art. It's adorable.
Put that full screen.
Yeah. Reckless Pangolin is a creature card that costs 2 and a green. It has 2 power and 2 toughness, but it also has a triggered ability that triggers every time it attacks. So that reads, whenever Reckless Pangolin attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Made me think of Naruto. It's a turtle, not a turtle. There's a frog. It's like very ungraceful.
I love that. So I'm going to play that as a defensive card for now because I can't attack with it, but I can attack with my creatures. So I'm going to split this. This is complicated. I'm going to send the Leopard Spotted Jiao at Caleb.
Okay.
And I'm going to send the snake to the Planeswalker.
Okay. So I'm going to resolve the Planeswalker first. I don't have any blockers. I can't play anything. So that damage goes through, which would take this to 0, which means he dies, which is fine because she wasn't doing me any good anyway.
That's true.
She's not a very good Planeswalker in my opinion, at least not for what I had on the field. And then he is attacking. He's still a 5.
He's still at 5.
Dang it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I took 5 damage, which brings me down to 6. I'm probably going to lose.
No comment. Pass turn.
All right.
I'm all tapped out.
Untap everything.
Do you want your crab to die? I can block your crab.
I don't know actually anymore if I do or I don't. That's a thing. So I am going to tap 3 for Ninetail White Fox.
Ooh. Ninetail White Fox is a creature for 2 and a blue. It's a fox spirit that has 2 power and 2 toughness, and it says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Blockable enchantment on. That makes sense.
I should have put that on there, but I did not. And then I'm going to pay 2 for another armored. And just go ahead and put that out there. Now, what do I want to do? Well, he has 3 creatures, and if I want to block all of them, it means I have to have 3 creatures untapped. So I am going to swing just with my bird. This time...
It's -5. I know.
Okay, this time I'm going to swing for the Planeswalker.
Alright, that's fine. So I cannot block. So Jang Yingu goes down to 5 loyalty.
Right, and pass turn.
Alright. Okay, well, this turn's going to hurt. I just want you to know that.
I kind of figured. It might be the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the end.
It's the beginning of the end.
Okay, I'm gonna do this in a way that lets you do something that that normally wouldn't happen. So first, I'm going to cast Confidence from Strength. So Confidence from Strength has it says Confidence and Strength is a sorcery that costs 2 and a green. It says target creature gets +4/+4 and gains Trample until end of turn. Trample reads, it can deal excess combat damage to defending player or planeswalker while it's attacking. I am going to target my Leopard Spotted Jiao with this sorcery, meaning it becomes a 7/5 instead of a 3/1. So that is happening there.
And that was a sorcery, not an enchantment, which is why he put it in his graveyard.
Yes, that's a sorcery, not an enchantment. to make the math simpler, because trample combat math is bad, I'm going to cast this instant, but I'm going to cast it on my turn. I'm going to cast Breath of Fire. I'm going to deal 2 damage to target creature. I guess we can put this up. I'm going to choose the crab. So Caleb's going to get to draw a card.
I draw a card, finally!
And because this is an instant, it goes to my graveyard once it's done. And then, let's talk about Jing Yingu real quick. Again, Jing Yingu's -5 ability says, until end of turn, target creature gains trample and gains +X/+X, where X is the number of lands you control. So I currently have 5 loyalty, or Jing Yingu currently has 5 loyalty. So I'm going to -5, which unfortunately means he goes down to 0, but I still get to use his ability. So I'm going to give the Leopard Spotted Jiao trample. So he has double trample,
which just
doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything.
Don't take me seriously. It just has redundant instances of trample. But it also gets +5/+5 because I have 5 lands. So
you just gave him 5. Earlier you gave him
4.
4. So that's +9/+9.
Correct. So I'm going to go to combat.
So he's a 12-10?
12-10. So I'm going to attack with the Leopard Spotted Jiao.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. So
yes,
now,
I did this on purpose as a learning exercise.
Okay, good. So up until now, we have been blocking creatures 1 for 1, pretty much. But you don't have to. You can actually block with more than 1 creature. So in this case, I have my fox and my turtle open, and if he attacks, he's got 12. If I let him through, I die because I've only got 6 life. If I block him with the fox,
because of trample,
any additional damage past what my toughness is goes to me directly. So he's 12. My fox's toughness is 2, so I'd bring that down to 10. So I'd take 10 damage, still kill me. If I block with the turtle, I'll still die.
Yep, because that has 5 toughness.
Right. But what I can do is I can block with both of them. Block 1 creature with my 2 creatures, which means basically when you do this, you combine the toughness of the creatures. So 5 plus 2 is 7. So I can block his 12 attack with my 7, which leaves a difference of 5, which means I take 5 damage. But I'm at 6 life, which means I don't quite die yet.
Yep. Caleb gets to live another day.
So I'm done. Are you going to play anything?
Nope, I am all tapped out. So you're going to take the 5.
So I will take the 5.
And because these creatures' combined toughness is less than my total power, they both die.
Yeah, so basically, if I blocked with a whole bunch of creatures, he gets to assign how much attack damage he does to each. In this case, it doesn't matter because he's got so much more that he can assign to both of them and still have the excess. But they both die. All right, you done?
I am done. I passed the turn. If you can deal 11 to me with this bird.
I don't think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, I had some really tiny dudes out. Okay, I'm going to play another island. I'm going to set it here this time.
Wow.
Too many islands, man. I got flooded, is what they like to call that. So I'm going to pay 5 for Rhythmic Water Vortex. Damn it. Which is what I played earlier.
There's a key distinction this time. Rhythmic Water Vortex, the second part of it reads Search your library and or graveyard for a card named Mu Yangling. So even though I got rid of Mu Yangling earlier, Caleb can still search his graveyard to find it and put it into his hand. Caleb's sending these 2 back to my hand, and I'm sad.
And then I can look through my deck. Actually, I don't get an option.
Nope.
I have to, because it doesn't say may.
Search your library and or graveyard.
So, did not see that.
Yeah. It's important. to read the card because it explains the card.
Yes, typically what I just did, which is look at this, means I would have to look through my deck for it. We're not super serious right now, so I'm going to put that back. Some players would be nice and say shuffle your deck and look through the graveyard, but I'm going to look through the graveyard for it. Obviously, this is my Planeswalker.
Yep.
Here. Like it says. And then I put it in my hand, which is non-existent right now.
Yep, it's your only card in your hand.
And I'm going to pass turn so that I can block him when it comes his turn.
Fine. Let's draw a card. I'm going to play this first. Do I just replay my hand? Hold on. Yeah, I guess so. 2. Yep, I'm going to replay the... This guy has done a lot for me, this Leopard's Prodigy.
I hate that guy.
Fair. I'm also going to replay this Reckless Pangolin. And I could attack, but Caleb could block, so I'm not going to attack. I'm going to pass the turn.
Okay. Untap the world over here. Draw my card. Play another flippin' island.
Wow.
Flooded.
Mana flooded. It's not. He's just not calling it flooded because he has islands. It's
yeah.
when you have a bunch of lands, you're called. It's called being flooded. When you don't have enough lands, it's called being so a lot of land is mana flooded. Not a lot of lands is mana screwed. They're not official game terms. It's just.
All right. So I am tapping for 5/6 to play my Planeswalker once again.
You sure are.
Which we know what she does, so we don't need to put that up. She comes in with 5. Again, I'm going to drop her to 2 instantly because I need cards.
Yeah.
Funny that the blue deck, which is supposed to be drawing cards, has not been doing that for me.
She's weirdly aggressive. Target creature can't be blocked this turn? Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Do you have another creature?
So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I have because the game is probably pretty much over for me. The 2 cards I drew, this was the first one. Can we put that up?
Yeah.
This.
So Caleb is showing off the Earth Origin Yak. It's a 2/4 creature for 3 and a white, but it also has an enter to the battlefield effect that says creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn when this creature enters the battlefield. Normally this is really good if Caleb was going to be aggressive. It includes the Yak if somehow Caleb could get the Yak to attack on the same turn. But it doesn't quite do it here. The other card Caleb drew is the Vivid Flying Fish, which for 1 and a blue is a 1/1 fish lizard that has flying as long as it's attacking. That doesn't really help him win here either. And also, as he's about to explain, he has a couple of mana constraints.
6, and I only have 4 mana open. So if I play the Yak, I get 1 extra blocker. If I play this guy, I also get 1 extra blocker, but he's super weak. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Yak. At this point in the game, typically you're going to know that you're losing. You don't want to let your opponent know that, though, that you know you're going to lose, because sometimes you can bluff your way through it, and you can still win.
Many a game have I bluffed my way from 1 life.
Right. So I will intern, and he will sufficiently destroy me now.
That is the plan. Ooh. Yeah, let's just go to combat. I'm going to attack you.
All right.
Directly. This gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Okay.
Because of its ability.
So he's a 3/3.
This is a 3/3. This is a 3/1. This is a 2/1.
All right.
All year.
So, not that it matters, but if I were going to block this, I guess it actually doesn't really matter. The Yak would block him so that he dies.
Mm-hmm.
This dude would block him because even if the Yak blocked him, he wouldn't die.
Right.
So he would die, but I still take 2 from the snake straight to me. And I'm all tapped out, and you know the other card I have in my hand, so I can't really do anything. So that would take me down to 0, which means I lose.
That's it. And that was a tutorial Magic game. So we have a couple of things to talk about.
Yeah, so that game probably seemed like it took a long time because we were explaining every single thing.
Yeah.
If we were actually just to play this through without talking about it, that probably would have taken us 20 minutes.
Yeah, typically, so Magic games are best of two.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 is typically how you play these.
Yeah. So the first person to win 2 games wins what's called the round
match.
or the match. And at official events, rounds and matches are timed at 50 minutes. 50.
You want to go full screen again?
So what? Oh yes. So for official events, they're timed for 50 minutes, which is plenty of time to get a couple of games in. This is just because we were going and explaining everything. It went a little long. Also, whenever we play on stream, we kind of do this, but much faster. And those can also go a little long. I think like the 90 minutes or so per round is what happens whenever we get into three games. But it's a lot of fun. As you can see, there was a lot of back and forth. Caleb kept me on the back foot for a lot of the game. Like he just kept bouncing my creatures back. So setting me back a turn every time he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was still able to be a bit more aggressive and push through and get the damage through. Let's slyly take a look at our notes here.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, these particular decks we played with were multicolored. Mine was blue and white. His was red and green. They don't have to be. Most beginner decks only use one color. That's because they're easier to build. They're a little bit easier to play as well.
Yeah. So whenever you go to find these cards, go to your local game store. So it's usually a comic book shop.
Or it doesn't have to be a game store either.
Yeah, you can buy cards from Walmart.
You can buy them from anywhere, really.
Yeah, Target,
Walmart,
Walgreens,
Target, any game store. It's everywhere.
Yeah, GameStop has Magic packs. All sorts of places have Magic cards. But if you go to your local game store or comic book shop, and you tell them, "Hey, I'm new to Magic," Wizards of the Coast, the company that makes the game, actually gives them specific decks to give to new players that are all monocolored. And it's free. It should be free, but it is definitely.
I did not
free.
know this.
Yeah,
that was not the case when I was playing.
No, this is something they've introduced in the past couple of years, and it's actually really really cool. So you tell them, "Hey, I'm new to Magic. Do you guys have any of the free welcome decks? They're specifically called welcome decks, but and then they'll give you a 30 card deck of one of the colors. The thing is that the colors have their own weaknesses, and you often want to combine that with another color to balance it out, or to be really strong in one area, even though you're weak in a couple of other areas. So like blue, for example, doesn't really do good with attacking, but it does do good with like defending and keeping your opponent's creatures under control.
Yeah.
Whereas white also does really good with defending, but it also can attack really well.
And these are just general traits.
Yep.
That's not always the case. You can find decks that do the complete opposite of what you would think they would do based on the color. But as a general rule, that's what they do.
Yeah. So you can buy cards a couple of different ways. Once you get into actually like collecting cards and trying to build decks, the main way these cards come out in are booster packs, which are usually $3.99 or so. It's 15 randomized cards of different rarities. Just basic rarities just determine how many of a card is in a pack, and how powerful a card is. So rare cards are more typically more powerful than a common or an uncommon. You only get one rare pack, but those are used. You can just open those and play with those in a format called Mini Masters or Pack Wars. You can Google the rules for those. Or those are also typically used for what are called drafts or sealed, where you get a couple of packs and you play with just those cards. You get lands from around. You can put in as many basic lands as you want, and then you build decks from that pile of cards and play. That's a lot of what we do here on the CNC Power Hour. Then there is Constructed, which is where you build the deck ahead of time and you go. The easiest way to get cards for those are to buy what are called singles. Like you look at a card, you look at a deck, and you're like, I want to play this deck. This looks fun. Instead of buying the booster packs that the cards come in, you're going to want to buy the card themselves because it's a guaranteed buy because the booster packs are randomized.
Yeah.
It's less fun that way, but it is way cheaper.
Chris is getting into some very specific, I think, way more advanced than beginner things.
I want you to be prepared.
But
that's it. Those are the two main ways to get cards.
Yeah, if you're a beginner, what I would suggest, having been heavily in Magic and now not really, you can either go buy packs, which is super addicting. It's like crack. I mean, it's like getting the pack and like opening it up and be like, what did I get? Really awesome, especially if you don't know all of the cards that are in that particular set. Yeah, you'll get new cards and be like, I've never seen this before, which is really awesome. They also have pre-constructed decks you can purchase, which is actually what we were playing with today. These are special ones, but and do they do like the fat packs anymore?
They do. They're called bundles, but it's 10 packs for I want to say $50.
Yeah, it's cheaper than what it would normally cost you for that number of packs.
Yes, and you also get a bunch of lands, which are really important.
Lands are very important. That is the downside to buying packs.
You get one land a pack.
Yeah, one land, and you typically in a 60-card deck you need around 20 of these. So that can be kind of frustrating when you're just starting out because you won't have the right colors or something. That is when you might want to go to a card store and see if they sell lands, or you can get them for free for someone, or get one of those packs that you're talking about, or even it might be worth buying a pre-constructed deck just to get the lands that you're looking for.
Yeah, there's also what are called deck builders toolkits. These are about $20.
Yes, those are really good as well.
You'll typically see them at Walmart.
They're a box that's about this long. It's like this tall or so.
Mm-hmm. It comes with a selection of cards from that set and a couple of booster packs and enough lands for you to make a couple of decks.
Yeah.
So for $20, it's actually really good value, especially starting out because it also acts as storage because the box is perfect.
Yep. We used to, when I was first getting into it, I got a lot of those. And they were very, very helpful.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. There's tons of other stuff we could talk about. We
will talk about.
Yes, we will. Or, well, we have, or we will, depending.
Depending on when you see this.
Depending on when this video goes up. But we are going to be doing a Magic 101 episode where we talk more about who should get into it, the consequences of getting into it, more things like that, kind of the meta stuff surrounding the game.
Yeah, who enjoys it, why you might enjoy it.
Pitfalls,
Yeah.
Things like that versus the actual how to play. That will come out on my show, Cause We're Nerds podcast. You can find that at causewe'renerds.com.
Yeah, CUZWEWERE.
NERDS.
There you
go. But yeah, come check us out, and please check out Chris's shows, the CNC Power Hour.
Yep.
They do a phenomenal job. It's very entertaining. You'll learn new things. And also, if you have any questions, I'm not sure if you guys have contact on your website.
Yeah, on Twitch we do. I think on our website we do too. I haven't looked at our website in a while because we're low on spare time. But you can definitely hit us up on Twitch, twitch.tv/CNC Power Hour. You can direct message us there. I do monitor that account, so I will be happy to answer any questions. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter we're not as active on, but definitely you can definitely message us on Facebook and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, and same for us. While Chris plays the game a lot currently and I don't play as much, I still know a good bit about the game. So you can message us at Because We're Nerds through our website. There's a contact form, or Facebook, Twitter. Again, we're not as active on Twitter. You can comment below, assuming this is on YouTube, and we'll try to get back to you. And if I don't know the answer, send it on over to Chris and make sure that we get you your answer.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions. This game, the thing that I love about this game is that there are a bajillion ways to play, and tons of rules and card interactions that you would never be able to plan for.
Yeah,
and so it's always a surprise.
It is, and that's part of what makes it so much fun.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully, I'll see you Sunday. Caleb will be inside of your ears on Friday
Every Friday
and Monday.
and Monday. Monday's the new show.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it's news. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
So whenever you want to start, you said you wanted us to start like a super
Yes.
casual.
Make sure I'm looking at the right spot and my legs aren't showing because that's
Yeah.
weird.
So this one is the canon.
Yeah, the big one.
I guess they're all canons, but
All right.
our canon is important. Yes. To filmmaking.
I'm blowing stuff up.
Yes. Our pirates and filmmaking.
Beware.
I guess both of those are pirates.
All right. Smile at the camera and we'll start, okay?
I'm smiling.